All right, boys, let's get it started. Craziac Cast episode 11. Bam!
Short install, baby.
Welcome back to the podcast, guys. And today we've got some great topics to talk about. Sean, for some reason, is wearing a Denver Broncos jersey. We'll address that in a few minutes.
One Denver Broncos jersey. Do you know who you're speaking to here? Hold on.
Bruh. Okay, we'll keep the Oh, there we go, baby! The Hartford Whalers.
Are you boys ready for Whalers night?
We get Whalers night, what, 3 times this season?
3 times, baby.
And we'll actually be joined by a special guest right now to discuss that. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the writers for DNVR Sports for the Colorado Avalanche, Bailey Curtis.
Guys, how's it going?
It's going pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty exciting
could be
news
a little
with
better.
the Nordiques and the Whalers game coming up, eh?
You know, something that probably should have been on my radar and was not. There's all this teasing going around with the new jerseys. Everybody's like, is it going to happen today? Is it going to happen today? I didn't even clock that the Whalers are going to be in town on Thursday, pretty much. So that was a cool, nice surprise for a throwback situation happening on Thursday. And the Caniacs get that 3 times this year.
I know that.
So that's going to be really cool.
Not at all what I was expecting.
No.
You know, this could be a crazy statement.
It was a very nice surprise.
Could be a crazy statement, but what if that was to make up for how bad the team looked in Vegas on Monday?
Yeah.
You know, you got to keep up viewership somehow.
Well, as long as we have the Cooperalls, I'm happy. So that's at least just me.
I'm interested to see if we get that on Thursday. I will say the coach's gear that Rod and Timmy Gleason wore today during practice were very, very easy on the eyes. I appreciated the commitment to it a lot.
So how much Kane stuff are you still keeping up with? I know you're working kind of for a group for the Avalanche. You still keeping up with the Canes at all?
Not as much as I would maybe like to. I'm still in a group chat with Zach Martin and Kat Hunter with the Surge Cast, and so we talk a lot, or at least I see all of their rants as far as, you know, Hurricane stuff goes. And if there's a big goal or, you know, something goes viral, obviously, I mean, I've got my eye on it as I would with any other team in the league. There is still a special place in my heart for this team, so I'm maybe paying attention to them a little bit more than I would other teams outside of the Central. But yeah, it's every so often. I saw the ghost news as soon as it happened. Corey Laviolette broke that from the broadcast, and that was that. It was hard to see, especially with the absence of Slavin.
Yeah, and
right now
and honestly, Ghost was probably the best defenseman for the first 4 games of the season.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, didn't realize how much we'd miss him until he's gone. You know.
Yeah.
And Ghost, I mean, is up there in plus minus with like the entirety of the Avs because everyone's tied at +9 right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's especially with a team, as far as I've seen with the Hurricanes, that's still kind of looking to get their power play going. Losing what I would argue one of your best guys quarterbacking that is not exactly helpful, I guess, is the way that I would put it.
It's, you know, it's the same problem we've had with the Canes power play the last couple of years, where we're such a volume dominant team when we're 5-on-5. But then for some reason the mindset changes as soon as you go 5-on-4. Like, okay, we need to pass as many times as humanly possible until we're basically shooting at an open net.
Yeah, that's the trick that the Colorado Avalanche are also trying to get around here as well. I will say it looks, or at least the first few games of the season for the Avalanche looked incredible. It's a matter of getting those chances to convert. And that finishing aspect is something that my team, I'll call it my team, out here in Colorado is especially struggling with. But it's also one of those things that is really, really deceiving, because if I'm not mistaken, Carolina and Colorado are fairly close when it comes to the power play. I'd need to go and take another look at that stat. I haven't looked at it very recently, but at least in the case for the Avalanche, the eye test is extremely deceiving to what is showing up on the score sheet and what's showing up in rankings. This is a team who is very dynamic. Of course, you've got Martin Necas and Nathan MacKinnon on that first power play unit, so automatically that's going to be like a holy crap type of moment. But it is really a deceiving point when the power play looks that good. They're creating a lot of chances and not just passing the puck. This is not a passing drill, and that is something I think the Hurricanes would really benefit from learning, is because they are such a high shot volume team, being able to correlate that and translate that over to the man advantage.
Now I've got a question. Landeskog, correct? He's back in the lineup, right?
Yes.
Or how is he doing now after all those troubles with injuries?
I'm having a hard time differentiating, being gone for 3 years versus father time, as I was talking with Mike Maniscalco earlier, and that is how he put it, which I was like, that's a fantastic point. No, it's Landeskog, I think, has looked good for what I expected him to do this season so far. He has had a little bit of trouble generating, which again is to be expected. He has not played in a regular season lineup since 2022.
And what line is he on? Just to correct me there.
So he's going to be on the second line. So he is on a line with, as of right now, Brock Nelson and Valeri Nichushkin. So, which is a very interesting line for me. It's a very neutral zone heavy line. It's a line that you want to see generate points, but you're seeing a lot on the defensive side of the puck as well. It is certainly not a top line of Lehkonen, MacKinnon, Necas, where you're getting most of that offensive generation and then maybe a little bit of defensive play from Lehkonen. This really is a team who's going to kind of body a little bit. You're going to see them get into those tight, gritty areas and put themselves in good spots positionally. Unfortunately, Gabe Landeskog had his first goal of the season taken off the board last night due to I'm going to try to keep this PG, a nonsense call. A call that I was not a really big fan of, just for technicality's sake.
There were two called back last night. I can't remember. That was the offsides call, correct? Mm-hmm. So just to put this into perspective for you two, because you probably didn't watch the game. I did. I wanted to do my homework to see what we were up against.
Hey, nice, Carter.
So the puck exits the zone. Colorado's in the midst of a change. I believe it's MacKinnon and one other guy who were headed into the bench who are not off the ice yet. And someone is at the close side to the camera on the blue line. And the puck exits the zone. And then a Utah Mammoth defenseman, I'm assuming, bats it back in. So he puts it back in play. The change is not completed. They call it offsides, even though the rules analyst on ESPN rightly said that it should not have been offside.
So, Dylan Guenther, who is a forward for the Utah Mammoth, the rule clearly states, and I had it pulled up, and I think I got rid of it, unfortunately. Rule 83 in the rule book clearly states that if a defenseman or a player on the defending side of the ice brings the puck back into their own zone without another player from another team touching it, it's the offsides is negated. Like that, it is not offsides if there's guys on the other side of the ice, but they're not the one creating the transition. The offsides is negated. That is the rule that was seemingly not even looked at in this situation. And what I guess the NHL former referee analyst that was on ESPN last night tried to say, or the argument was that Valeri Nichushkin's stick impeded with Dylan Gunther's stick, and that is what created the withdrawal back into his own zone.
Oh, so they're saying that Nichushkin's stick hit Gunther's stick, forcing the puck back into the zone.
Right, and that's where I think it's 83.2 in part says is that if there is any sort of stick check, body check, physical contact that creates that, then yes, that would be offsides. You don't necessarily have to touch the puck to create that. Nichushkin doesn't touch him. There is no evidence of any sort of contact on Dylan Gunther or the puck. Nichushkin does not touch the puck until the puck is completely crossed the blue line. It's a beautiful setup from Nichushkin, finding Landeskog, who for some reason is left completely unmarked in the middle of the ice, has a very narrow shot, and he takes it. And it goes in, he gets his first of the season, and it's called back. Frankly, it's bull crap. Again, I'm trying to put that as nicely as possible, but my whole thing, and I mentioned this on the post-game pod for DNVR last night, there are bad calls in every single NHL game. That's fine. It happens. There's a reason the review process happens, to go through and make sure that if there was anything badly called, that you can go and fix it. They took 5 minutes to sit and review this call and still got it wrong. That pisses me off. It is not something that sits well with me. And from what my co-host put it brilliantly, this looked like the NHL being stubborn and saying we got it wrong and we don't want to admit it, and you guys are going to suffer for it. That's basically all it looked like at the end of the day. And after that call happens, you see Colorado fall apart. All of their momentum is gone.
Yeah.
There was barely any push to begin with. Puck management was horrible during this game. It got worse, if that was even possible. Martin Necas had a horrible game up until the third period, and then he found some sort of gear, scored a beautiful sharp angle shot to get Colorado back in a game that they should not have been in to begin with the way they were playing.
I mean, that should have been the first regulation loss, leaving Vegas as the lone unbeaten in regulation.
It should have. And I think I got called out for calling this a lucky game for Colorado, but I absolutely think it was. They've somehow found a way to wake up during the third. I don't know how they did it, but they managed to push it to overtime. Putting Nathan McKinnon and Martin Necas out there for 3-on-3 was a horrible idea. And I have my own thoughts about that we can maybe get into later. But this is a game that Colorado should, if it goes well and that call doesn't happen, maybe I can understand it being a neck and neck game. This is a game that Utah should have dominated, and the Colorado Avalanche found a way to crawl back in.
And honestly, I mean, the Canes got dominated by Vegas the other night. 2 quick goals off the rip, neither of which were Freddie Anderson's fault, really. The Dorofeyev goal went viral all over the place because, rightly so, I mean, it was a gorgeous goal. And at that point, like, after the Canes were down 2-0, like, it looked like the wind was out of our sails. We ended up getting one back from Sebastian Aho, but at no point during that game on Monday did I think we were the better looking team, outside of maybe like a 5-minute stretch in the second.
Yeah.
Which was humbling to see because prior to that, we had kind of been just rolling through the road trip. I mean, we came up a little rough in the second half of LA and escaped that one with a win. But Vegas, man, they gave it to us. That was rough.
Vegas is one of those really difficult teams that I've got on my radar to be a good matchup for Colorado, just with how strong each of them are. They're a dangerous team with a lot of guys who know how to score. Jack Eichel comes to mind, Mitch Marner, who, say what you want about him and his performances in the playoffs, he's a guy who knows how to score, especially in the regular season. So it's a team with a lot of high-end talent. And, you know, props to Carolina for doing what they were able to do to at least not, I felt like that could have been worse
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Um,
Freddie Anderson played his heart out that game.
yeah. So
Also for
and
Vegas,
Incredible save.
apparently Aiden Hill has not been placed on the IR yet, but he's not set to play for their next game. And apparently Noah Hannafin is on the IR. I know that's not a major crucial role on defense, but Hill is a pretty big part
Wait,
of that
are you
team.
serious? When did they put Noah Hannafin on IR?
is
As
that
of,
fantasy?
Yeah.
as of 11:22 a.m. this morning, I
God!
believe.
Ugh! I just,
and actually, sorry,
I just
Aiden Hill is-
activated him.
Oh, Aiden Hill is also week to week, and he's not going to be on the rest of their upcoming road trip.
You know
I
what?
don't know
though?
why, but I joined a insight group for the Golden Knights. I'm not even a fan, but I like a little scouting, I guess.
You know,
I don't know.
I'm gonna shout out the fantasy real quick. We did a fantasy league with some of our fans, and it's a competitive league. And currently, I'm in first place as the lone 2-0 team in the league, and a lot of that is thanks to my wonderful 1-2 stack of Nathan McKinnon and Marty Natchez, who I somehow got both of. And so
That's a gauntlet, man.
that's paid
Right.
dividends.
I'm sorry, but it smells like Sebastian Aho. It's a little fishy. How are you in first if you're
Hey.
the one who's running this thing?
Listen, I didn't even draft my team. I let the computer auto draft.
No
Mhm.
way.
Yeah.
No, I don't know how much I believe that.
Okay,
I don't know.
No, here's my reasoning. I was at the Charlotte Motor Speedway watching the Charlotte Roval race when the draft took place.
Okay.
So, it's on auto draft.
I'm skeptical.
That's fine.
I'm skeptical, but
You know, my team's. I'll move on to something else after this. My team is very forward heavy. I've already made like 4 waiver moves for defensemen because the defenseman pick. I swear, the thing must have been like, okay, we're gonna fill out your entire forward lineup,
Mhm.
and then do defenseman. Because I'm pretty sure the way the CPU drafted was like by total projected points regardless of position.
Mhm.
So my defensemen stink because it auto drafted defensemen after it filled up my bench with forwards.
oh no.
I didn't have a single defenseman on the bench until I started making roster moves. So that's probably how I ended up with that.
Interesting.
Speaking
Something
of
from earlier.
Marty Natchez, though. Oh, go ahead, Jack.
Yeah, just from earlier when we were talking about the power play, I just wanted to bring this up. The Canes have a 9.5% power play on the season, and the Avs have an 11.5% power play on the season.
Close enough.
Yeah.
Pretty close.
Still to the point where it's not great.
Yeah, I mean, if you're below 10%, that's pretty bad.
Yeah. Though that's kind of par for the course with the Canes.
Yeah, I think we finished with 18 last season.
That was
18.5?
front loaded as crap. We were operating
Yeah.
at
It
like
was.
29% before we shipped Natchez off before Natchez started falling off in Carolina, because there was like a 2-month stretch where he was not that great before we got rid of him.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's a situation too. And I if we're gonna bring up Marty and Natchez, let's go ahead and get into this.
Mhm.
Is you're seeing something very similar to last season where he's getting off to a really hot start and putting himself among the top guys in
Yeah.
the league. And for a guy who later down the road may be asking for a 10, 11, 12 million dollar contract, that's exactly what you want to see. The thing for Carolina that really, really struggled, at least from what I saw after he left, were zone entries. And that kind of falls apart as soon as he leaves. And because he's the main guy who
Mhm.
really spearheaded a lot of that. And by that vantage point, I'd need to do more research in what zone possession looked like once they were finally able to get in. And what that zone entry statistic looks like from before versus after. That's something Colorado has really excelled at even before Natchez got there. You put him on that line with McKinnon, and all of a sudden that line is elite when it comes to bringing people into the zone and creating that offensive pressure. I really almost kind of felt bad for Carolina in a sense, because you lose a guy who's able to create that much offense despite not really having a steady position in the lineup. I guess we all know how Rod Brindamore works with his lines, though. Nothing's ever consistent. But for a guy who is generating that much offense and losing that stung for Carolina, and they had to do a lot of work to become the dangerous team that I guess we all saw heading into the Eastern Conference final last year.
Yeah, they picked it up in the playoffs against Jersey, who was one of the better penalty killing units in the league. Now, granted, there's an asterisk there because Jersey was down like half their NHL roster in that series.
Yeah.
I think that to me is why they went and got Nikolai Ehlers in the offseason. I feel like they realized, oh, we messed up. We shouldn't have done. We got rid of our power play entry. Let's try and fix that, because as much as we love Sebastian Aho and Seth Jarvis, they're fast, but they're not like that entering the puck with they're entering the zone with the puck on their stick kind of fast that Marty Necas was. And clearly, after
it comes
Necas
down
was gone, it's
to
just-
confidence and being savvy with the puck. And as much as I think that Sebastian Aho and Seth Jarvis are incredible players, I got to talk with one of them today. I've got like a 4-minute interview with Jarvie that should be over on the Surgecast channel, so be sure to go check that out. But I got to talk with Seth Jarvis today. That was fun. And they're incredible players in their own right. Not every player in the league has hands like a Marty Necas.
No.
So that's where that line for me when it comes to those three players is kind of drawn.
So we'll stick with Necas here. What's going on with the contract extensions there? Because I don't know, like, what is he on? What does he want? Because how much better of a situation can you get than Colorado for him, other than maybe Edmonton?
What I'm starting to wonder is, and this is probably me reaching for content or content's sake, I almost wonder if Colorado's too star-studded for him, and he cannot be the lone superstar who's kind of earning that kind of name for a team. I am in full agreement with you. I am of the mindset it doesn't get much better than playing next to a Nathan MacKinnon and occupying ice with a Cale Makar.
Exactly.
There are not many teams who can say they have that much high-end talent across the board. And when it comes to Necas, he, I think, is going to be looking a lot at certain contracts that have just been signed. You look at a Kaprizov, you look at a Connor McDavid. The biggest things that differ from those situations to Necas is not Colorado's franchise player. He is a really, really good player who I think the Colorado Avalanche would be really stupid to not try and make work.
Yeah.
But I think that effort is there. I think Chris McFarland is making big pushes to try and get this done sooner rather than later. I think Necas is the one kind of stalling on this because he's had a really hot start this season so far. Yesterday was his worst game of the season, and there's nothing to sugarcoat there. Like, he sucked. And to pick it up back in the third, Rudo put it best, that is superstar material. And I have to give a lot of credit to Martin Necas in that game, especially to go into the second period or the second intermission, realize something is not clicking, something is not working, and make the strides to simplify his game. That is superstar material. That's what sets Necas apart from the lot. He is a player who I think is capable of hitting 90 points this season. I'd love to see him hit 90 points. Otherwise, I don't see how he gets anywhere north of 11 million. I think 11 million is even a stretch for that. But given where certain markers in the market are being placed at right now, I don't think that's unreasonable to expect.
So this brings up a player that I know me, Jack, and Sean really do not want to talk about because of the lack of effort that was shown in the city.
Wait, before we say the trigger warning, I did have one other question because we're talking about the Colorado Avalanche, but the Avs actually have two other Canes legends. I wanted to ask what your opinion was. Jack Drury, God love the guy, and Brent Burns. What do you think of those two on the Avs and where they fit?
I'm going to start with Jack and say that he has really stepped into his role on this team. I like to make the joke that Nathan MacKinnon is experiencing the Jack Drury effect because Nathan MacKinnon has become a gauntlet in the faceoff dot. now, when this is something he struggled with in past seasons, and all of a sudden Jack Drury gets there and it's, oh my God, Nathan McKinnon can do more than move the puck. This is great. Um, Jack Drury came into this team as an elite fourth line center and played that part of the ice to a T. He stepped into that role and showed that he is capable of more. And that is where management went into this season with the idea that they can expect more out of Jack Drury. So experimenting with him on the 3C side of things, I think has been wonderful for him. And even Jared Bednar, towards the beginning of the regular season, mentioned that he kind of had a leg up on all the other competition that he had. His competition was Ross Colton and Parker Kelly.
Yeah.
That's really it. And those are two guys who Bednar really, really likes at wing. So he really did not have much competition where that is concerned. And he steps into this role this season, and that line has been one of my favorite lines to watch this season. The second line with Nelson, Nichushkin, and Landeskog has had a bit of a tough time getting going and activating the way that I would like to see them do. I need you guys to go back and find the first Utah game against the Colorado Avalanche after this is all over and find, I believe it was Ross Colton's goal. Jack Drury is such a smart hockey player. He's got a little one touch that he does to find Colton in the center of the ice, and Colton ends up banging it home. And the break and the rush that they created as a line is so much fun to watch. You're also talking about a Jack Drury who is really, really good on the defensive side of the puck as well. He's become an elite penalty killer for this team. He took a hooking call last night, and the Avalanche somehow staved off that portion of the penalty kill, or that penalty kill for the night. But this is a guy who's become a really important piece of this team, who's playing important minutes. And a team, it's a piece of that third line that Jared Bednar has gained a lot of respect for.
That's good.
Brent Burns. I have thoughts about Brent Burns, and not all of them are good. I'll start with the positives. He has become such a great locker room guy for this Colorado Avalanche team, stepping right into the role that he had in Carolina in that regard. This is a guy who we talked a lot about Brent Burns on media day to open up the season, who Jared Bednar had mentioned, he'd walk into a room and he's there talking with 5 guys, and he'd walk out of the room, walk back in, and he's talking with 5 more guys. And then he'd walk to a different part of the building, and there Brent Burns is with 3 new guys. Like, he's really easy to make friends with. And in talking with some of these guys about what Brent Burns brings as far as, on ice material, it's invaluable to some of these guys. This is a guy who's been in the league for 22 years now. That's a lot of time. That is a big veteran guy. Do want to shout out that the Avalanche decided to hold off on his 1500th game ceremony until they played Carolina, which I thought was a really nice touch.
Really? Did they?
Yeah, so they will be holding a 1500th game ceremony before the game against Carolina on Thursday.
That's awesome.
No way.
Very, very excited for. But yeah, so this is a guy who has a really great locker room presence, and he's a great veteran guy to learn from. On ice execution is a whole different story. You see good moments come out every so often. He's a big body with a big reach who does not always use it to his fullest extent. And that's what the Avalanche are trying to toy around with, I guess, is he is a big body who can throw a good reverse hit, and he can shield the puck in great ways in all areas of the ice. But defensively, there are a lot of lapses that, again, Mike and I were talking about it earlier. Father Time is undefeated. And that is, I think, the situation that Brent Burns is running into. He's still a guy with a lot of knowledge who I think could go on to have some sort of broadcasting career one day if he's not too busy with the ranch. and all of his animals and spending time with his family and kids, which is really important to him. But this is a guy who is coming into a new team with a completely different role than what he had in Carolina. This is a guy who's going to play both power play and penalty kill minutes. So he's going to eat up a lot of those minutes that we expect to take some of that pressure off of Cale Makar. Have not seen that come to fruition yet, as Cale Makar is still playing. The other night he played 28 minutes, which is insane to think about. Especially for a guy who's looking to lead Team Canada to a win in February. But and I'd love to see some of that pressure taken on or off of him so he can, prepare and rest for what's going to be a very busy 2 weeks for him. But yeah, Brent Burns, we haven't seen that trust, I think, come defensively yet from Jared Bednar. I think it's something we'll see later down the road. But there is something to be said about time catching up to Brent Burns. He's not 25 anymore. He's not 30 anymore. He can't play with a lot of the dynamic ability that he used to have as a player. And we're just seeing that come to fruition. With all of that said, I think he is still, a decent defenseman. This is a guy who you can rely on to kill important minutes down the road should you need it. And he can be a reliable in most cases. This is a guy who is known to kind of push up offensively. And you've seen him take a backseat to that and prioritize more defensively just because of some of the lapses that the Avalanche are dealing with as well, and missing Samuel Girard, and then having a logjam on the right side and somebody having to switch and play on their offside. And Brent Burns has provided a lot of, not that he has a lot of experience playing on his left side on defense, but this is a guy who can provide a lot of good insight onto how to be defensively smart.
Hang on, I want to back up on something you said there. Are y'all backlogged 4 right, 2 left?
That is a situation we're running into.
That is hilarious.
Yeah.
We are backlogged 4 left, 2 right.
Yeah. It's interesting. And so the Avalanche went and claimed Ilya Solovyov from the Calgary Flames. And this is a guy with very little NHL experience. And I was hoping with that would take some of the pressure off of Sam Malinsky, who went into this year expecting to play on his offside. This is a guy with also 1 season of NHL experience under his belt, all of a sudden being told, hey, we're going to put you in this role, which I think shows a lot of trust for Sam Malinsky, but that proved to be not effective very quickly. So they go out and they get a Solovyov, who they hope maybe can prove to be a third pair guy on the left side. Sam Girard goes and gets injured, this is a guy who's been dealing with some injury stuff on and off heading into preseason. You see him get in for the last game of preseason. He starts the season.
And is Blackwood still out as well, by the way?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, he is. But as soon as they go up and pick up Solovyov, Sam Girard is suddenly hurt again. And that, I believe, is week to week, if I'm not mistaken. So that is unfortunate. As far as injuries go, and I'll touch on this a little bit as well, Yoel Kiviranta, who is a 4th-line winger, is out week to week with a lower body injury. I saw him walk by before availability after the Boston game on Saturday, and he had a stabilization brace that are normally worn for ACL or other ligament tears or pulls in the knee. So that is not very exciting. But also, I'm not super worried about that just because Yoel Kiviranta was not playing up to my expectations on the 4th line. This is a guy who had a career season last season. There was no way he was going to reproduce that this season. So if he can rest up, get healthy, and hopefully come and produce something when he comes back, I'll be happy with that. Mackenzie Blackwood is a bit of an anomaly because this is not a guy that the Avalanche had placed on IR. He's a guy who has spent the entire season on the regular roster. He has not traveled with the team at all. So he did not make the trip to Utah. And we have no idea when he's going to draw in. My prediction is that we may be seeing him during the back-to-back situation against Boston and New Jersey. But as of right now, Scott Wedgwood is holding the fort down, and he's doing a damn good job of it.
Yeah. So, time to talk about the other half of the huge trade that went down last year.
Wait, please a trigger warning first. I'm not ready to hear it.
Trigger warning for Mikko Rantanen.
Oh no, my dad's got some very colorful words for this man, I will say.
I'm sure. I feel like he's probably universally loved by both teams right now, especially after what happened in the playoffs last year.
Yeah, and given what happened the last time Colorado saw Dallas this season.
Yep.
They play the better game, and Dallas forces the shootout with some really opportunistic goals and some great goaltending by Jake Ottinger, who has decided to not play that way against any of the other teams that they've played so far this season. So that's fun. And then Mikko Rantanen goes and wins it in the shootout for the Dallas Stars.
Now,
Which
I will
was
say,
unfortunate.
on the Canes' behalf of this, and we've said this ad nauseum multiple times on podcasts, videos, and stuff, if you look at the overall blanket trade as a whole from the Hurricanes and the whole saga of like 2 months, the Canes gave up, and you'll be able to help me with this because I don't remember the draft picks, but we gave up Marty Necas, Jack Drury, a second and a fourth, right?
Yep.
Something, yeah, that sounds about right.
Mikko
The second was
Rantanen-
using a trade to get, I think, Brock Nelson.
For Mikko Rantanen, and you got Chicago in there for a third-round pick and picked up Taylor Hall, which has worked out. That part has worked out phenomenal. Taylor Hall.
I was literally saying to Mike earlier, he's got a heck of a shot on him.
Yeah, Taylor Hall has been arguably one of the best.
Former heart winner too, eh? Former heart winner.
Okay, yeah.
Those days are coming back. I'm calling it. I'm just kidding.
The Mikko Rantanen saga in Carolina was less than stellar. You could clearly tell that he did not want to be, or at least towards the end of it, he did not want to be there, and that towards the beginning of it, he was uncomfortable playing in a defensive-heavy system that Rod Brindamore implemented. So, before the clock strikes midnight, you send him off to Dallas for 2 firsts, 2 thirds, and Logan Stankoven, who actually somehow has, at this point, I'm not 100% there yet to say it, but is probably our best chance at fixing the 2C problem we've had since Vincent Trocheck left for New York.
Yeah. That's a tough conversation too. Because you go in with the mindset that Kokoniemi is the answer to all of your problems, and he just becomes the guy that Montreal warned everybody that he would be, unfortunately. I think he's had some bright sides, but for the most part has turned out to be a little bit of a letdown as far as expectations go.
That's true.
On this team. I'll put it that way. I think
as a third overall draft pick, I feel like it's totally fair to say he's underwhelming.
And at this point, I mean, we have the second and third overall pick from that draft, and right now they're both extremely underwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I'll throw that out there. Andrei Svechnikov still doesn't have a point this season, and he's getting the least amount of minutes per any forward on the whole team right now.
And I will say that's where I really appreciate Rod Brindamore not being afraid to say, like, you suck. You're going to be here until you prove to me you can be better. Mm-hmm. And that's unfortunately the situation that Andrei Svechnikov has put himself in. I was talking to somebody about this earlier too, and saying Andrei Svechnikov, we talk a lot about confidence with players, and that's something that I talk about a lot when it comes to Martin Necas. I am a big champion for Martin Necas and the confidence that he brings on the ice. Andrei Svechnikov is a very, very similar player in that aspect, where if he can get going, that confidence is going to drive him to be a much better player on the ice. But if he's not going, it's going to take a miracle to spark that. And I hate saying that because Svechnikov is capable of being a lights-out elite forward. He's a guy who is not afraid to throw the body, and everybody knows it. He's got a reputation in the league for that for a reason. Mm-hmm. But he's a big body that can score. And I think that's something that Carolina could really, really value in seeing that activate. And this is where I'm very wishy-washy on this. I'd love to see him activate. I would like to not see him activate against the Avalanche, but if he does, I know that's ultimately like a better thing for you guys down the road.
Yeah, I mean, what I feel like the dam's gonna break as soon as he gets one. We saw the flashes of talent in the playoffs last year. He was unreal. He was the best forward on the team for a majority of the playoffs last year. And
Well, I just don't know what happened going into this season. Like, you'd think he'd still have momentum because of the postseason, but nothing's happened.
I think so. Here's one thing that Rod Brindamore is very notorious for shuffling his lines at a moment's notice because things aren't working. Apart from the Jordan Stahl line, because he knows what he's going to get out of that line. There's no point in breaking it up, other than the random January stretch of Jordan Martinook playing first line minutes. But we're not in January yet, so we don't have to worry about that. I was not the biggest fan of moving Taylor Hall up to the second line to play an Andrei Svechnikov's spot in the first place, because Taylor Hall is great when Taylor Hall plays 12 minutes a night. I think there's diminishing returns if Taylor Hall is playing second line minutes, because one, he's likely playing against better competition, and two, he's playing more minutes. And I think Adam Gold talked about this, or it's either Adam Gold or Tim Donnelly, one of the two ESPN radio hosts, said the same thing. Like, Taylor Hall is great as a fourth liner who can play 13 minutes, because those 13 minutes are going to be 13 lights out minutes. If you play him 18 minutes, you're not going to get 18 lights out minutes. And I think you still could get that from Svechnikov if he can just figure out, how to get one. And then taking him off the first line in the power play in favor of Jackson Blake is still mind-boggling to me. I love Jackson Blake. He's a dynamic player. The problem is Jackson Blake is the same archetype as Sebastian Aho, Nikolai Ehlers, and Seth Jarvis, who are also on that line. So speaking of, if we're going to talk about Svechnikov, maybe leave him on the fourth line for now and let Taylor Hall keep playing two line minutes. But can we please put him back on the first power play unit?
Yeah. That power play situation is going to be really interesting, especially given at practice today, KK was back on power play too, and they took Mike Riley down.
Who's playing defense on that? Oh, I guess it's Walker.
Yeah. So, it'll be interesting to see KK draw in. I heard he was scratched for a game or two so far in this season, which, if that's what you earn, that's the risk you run. It's a little mind-boggling to me sitting a guy who's making $4 million a year, but that's again what you're getting.
I don't think it's performance-based. And we talked about this going into the game versus San Jose, which is he was scratched for San Jose and Anaheim. So two of the admittedly lower standing teams in the league. I think they did that just to see what they had in Mark Jankowski because of how good Mark Jankowski was for that stretch last year.
Yeah, no, and that's what was posed to me today as well, was just so they could get Jankowski in a game, which is absolutely fair. Now the question becomes, is that who you're taking out in favor of the KK now, and how is that going to work against a Colorado team with a lot of speed and a lot of top end skill? So
I think KK is drawing in, so that means KK also played versus Vegas and versus LA. Scored a really nice goal against LA when he apparently was winded. I have been one of the bigger defenders of KK out there because I see the vision for it. I don't want to make myself sound like some future teller in this, but
own it if that's the case.
KK is overpaid to be a 4C. He's right at market for 2C, but he's clearly not a good 2C. I think the only reason KK sticks around, the reason you keep him around, there's a dying breed of 3Cs that are built like Jordan Stahl to chew up defensive minutes and play the defensive side of the puck with faceoffs like really well. And on the roster right now, because we all know after Jordan Stahl's contract is up next year, that's probably it for him. He'll be like 38 at the time, and I really don't realistically see him playing after that. Who better to slide into that 3C role than Jesperi Kotkaniemi? And the salary cap probably won't be a problem at that point, because if the cap's $112 million, what's $4 million of it?
And I was going to say, if you're talking about him being, in market with some of those 2Cs, you've got 2Cs who are making $7-8 million.
It's true.
So that's
Granley got a
really,
huge bag.
yeah.
And
Oh
ours
my
is gonna hopefully be locked up at 6.
So that's where you come in, and like if that 2C problem is solved with the Stankoven, that's immediately great for you guys. If you're getting Kokaniemi as a 3C at 4.125, I think it is.
I think it's 8.25, but yeah.
Yeah.
4.8. That I think is a solid deal. That's a lot more than some 3Cs in the league are getting paid. I'm looking at a Jack Drury, who I believe is making north of $1 million.
Is he still on the contract that we signed him to?
Yes.
Okay,
I
so
believe, yeah.
I think it's fair to assume that he gets a slight increase in pay whenever the time
and
comes.
that not only is well deserved given how he is playing and what he's producing with Colorado, but that's also just the I guess situation you come into with the cap going up.
Yep.
Obviously those inflation, I'll call it.
Yes.
Like that's just cap inflation.
I mean, we went from a period of stagnant cap where we didn't go up at all for 4 years, and then we went to now
we'll get 2 here in the next 2.
Yeah, and then now it's like, okay, so we went 4 years without the salary cap going up more than $1 million, and now we're going to go up $9-10 million a year, so you can basically add an extra contract per off season.
Yeah. So I'm very interested to see how the cap is going to work this season with that situation in mind. Again, you've got a couple guys who are going to be looking at pay raises here in the next couple years. Cough, cough, Marty Necas, who it's especially compared to how slow this past off season was. This is going to be a gauntlet.
Yeah.
This summer.
So with the pay raises and obviously the cap going up, what are you thinking Alexander Nikishin on the Canes is going to be looking like for a contract?
You've been reading my mind all day, Sean.
Yeah, I hate it for you because you've moved to Colorado and stopped covering the Canes as much as soon as the guy comes over here. Like, I'm sure with the Surge cast, like we have been looking at this guy for 4 years, like, please come on over. And now he is. Finally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, thank God. And it's gonna be, I'm interested to see what the Hurricanes do with that contract. I forget when, because did they sign a 3-year ELC with him?
Well, they did.
It was a 2-year.
It was a 2-year, but playing in the playoffs last year used up a year of that. So this is a contract year for him.
Okay. That I think Nikishin right now, I think, is on track to make maybe a little less than what people are expecting, just because, and this was another thing Mike and I talked about today too, was he's being a little sheltered right now, or at least that's what it looks like.
Clearly.
You're not seeing him break out the way that he did in the KHL, and I will go as far as to say that's solely because they are 2 completely different games. We're seeing a similar situation happen right now with Zakhar Bardakov, who was, as soon as his contract in the KHL was done, he signed with the Avalanche and was slated to be their 4C. And we saw a couple games of him during the playoffs where it's just breakdown after breakdown after undisciplined move, not playing smart hockey, but throwing the body, which I appreciate. And that's a type of skill set that the Avalanche can really benefit from on that fourth line. Alexander Nikishin's kind of falling, I think, into a similar role where he's not breaking out the way that you maybe want him to, but he's throwing the body and he's falling into a role that maybe a lot of people didn't expect to see from him in the first year of Canes hockey, just because that it is just such a vastly different game, and learning to play North American hockey is hard. They move a lot faster in North America than they do in the KHL, and that's something Nikishin's going to have to adjust to in order to improve his game over the next 2 years. And I think because of that, maybe some contract numbers suffer. And this is something where if I'm his agent, I may be looking at signing a short-term deal, letting him fall into his game a little bit. And then after that, you can renegotiate some of that just so 5 years down the road, you're looking at a Nikishin who's playing at a $7 million level on a $4 million deal. I don't think he wants to shortcut himself in any manner, and that's almost what I'm kind of looking at this being.
Mhm.
Personally.
Well, I just compare it because you look at some of the contracts that got signed this offseason, like Dobson's getting paid 9, I believe, out in Montreal, or 9.5,
9.5,
1.2?
I think.
9, yeah. And then Lacombe gets paid 9 mil, as well as that means Hudson's getting what, 8.5? If I'm
8.5.
correct.
Yeah.
Sorry, there was just a big old bug crawling around on the wall in my room, so I wanted
It's fun.
I wanted to take care of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, in my opinion, like, you're seeing all these defensemen getting paid these massive contracts. You think maybe in Nicky's mind, he's going to be seeing this like, oh, well, if Hudson's getting 8.5, I can probably squeeze 9 out of these guys. Or is that...
Yes and no, but they are two vastly different situations in my mind. The
Okay.
only way I could see it being somewhat similar is that this guy has been on not only the Canes as an organization's radar, but our radar too. This is a guy we've been looking at for at least a few years now as coming in and kind of changing the narrative on the defensive side of things for Carolina, or at least he's stepping into a Carolina team that really, really values defense, and they want to see how they can elevate that with a guy like Alexander Nikishin. And that's something Nikishin can use to his leverage in negotiation talks and saying, you viewed me as your franchise player, so pay me like it. And Carolina has a very, very money savvy GM in Eric Tulsky, who I am very much so anticipating being, okay, let's pump the brakes here a little bit and be a little more realistic with this. You're not playing to an elite level. Yes, we want to keep you. We also want to pay you what you're worth. And so that's where I bring a short-term deal into the conversation and saying, I really... That, in my opinion, is the smartest move for a guy like Nikishin, who's still learning the system, who's still learning to play North American hockey versus Russian hockey. And let him step into that role a little bit before you sit there. And that's something Tulsi can even go into this negotiation with and saying, we want to pay you what you're worth right now, but we really want to pay you what you're worth 3 years down the road.
Yeah. I think it's a talking point because this will be our, 7th game of the season? I did not mean to do that, but this will be our 7th game of the season. We can talk about paying Nikishin, but I think it'd be smart to do what the Canadians did with Lane Hudson. He was extended the offseason after his rookie year. So if you're, right now, we'll take a vacuum right now, and then a little bit of assumption. So the assumption that I've gathered from most people, and this is more fan than insider because I don't have nearly the insider contacts that you do, but by the end of the season, it sounds like the expectation is for him to be a two-way defenseman that really excels offensively, get power play minutes, and be at some point like half a point per game player. So if he reaches that potential, then I don't know what you do at that point. But as of right now, he's good, not great, I'll say. You could tell that losing Shane Gostisbehere hit him like an anvil falling from an airplane, because he was so good on that pairing with Shane Gostisbehere. And then as soon as Shane Gostisbehere was out and he had to start rotating with other defensemen, just defensive lapses came in. So for that reason, I'm really hoping Shane Gostisbehere is back sooner rather than later, because
would you put that with an asterisk though? Because that means he'll get more ice time.
What?
Well, the fact that you've got. Sorry.
All right, we'll continue this talk. But thanks for coming on here, Bailey.
Yeah, no, guys,
so
thank you so much for having me. It's going to be a fun one tomorrow.
Yeah, hopefully.
I really cannot wait.
Hopefully it ends up being good. Great to see the Whalers versus Nordiques throwbacks.
Yeah. As far as I'm aware, I believe we're looking at a 7:14-ish, 7:15-ish puck drop. So be on the lookout for that ceremony to happen before the game.
Awesome. And for those of you that are viewing
100%.
on the East, that's not it's 2 hours later, so 9 o'clock. 9:15.
9 o'clock. Sorry, my bad.
Okay.
Canes
thanks-
after dark.
Yep.
Canes
Thanks for
after
joining
dark.
us. Hope to talk to you
Yep.
again soon.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Take care, guys.
You too.
Perfect.
See you.
Bye.
All right, so I'm gonna finish up the indication point real quick. I really do feel like if he gets to that point per game player who's sound defensively, I would consider paying him, 8.5 to 9 million. But we'll see. What were you saying about the minutes, Sean?
So I mean, maybe the ghost is a big hit, but as bad as it may seem or cynical, but soon as we lost Slavin, I know a lot of people hit the panic button. I was about the only positive person I know because I said, look it, Slavin's out the lineup. We're going to have to see what Nicky's got. We're going to have to see what Miller's got. And it gives those two more ice time.
It does.
Granted, Ghost leaving that, like we've seen with Nicky, that kind of hurt. But is it really that bad that he's getting more ice time?
So I think what we're looking at here is with Jacob Slavin out, you're losing the best defensive defenseman, but you've still got 6 NHL defensemen that you trust reliably to get stuff done. So in that, you move Miller up 1, you shuffle the Gostisbehere line up to number 2, bump Chatfield down to 3, put Riley with him. That works because you still have the 6 NHL caliber defensemen. And your developmental guy is playing with a guy that he's familiar with still. I think there was more good, which sounds astronomical to say if you're a Canes fan, but there was more good from Jacob Slavin getting hurt than there was from Shane Gostisbehere getting hurt. And honestly, right now with the way Shane Gostisbehere was playing, even if they were both in the lineup, I still think you lose more by losing Shane Gostisbehere. I mean, think about what he brings to the team. He was
offensively, yeah.
We pulled up this stat, I think on your podcast. Shane Gostisbehere was the first player with a +2 and a point in the team's first 4 games of the season since Wayne Gretzky back in 1988. You can't replace
What a
that
stat line.
And whenever your defensive partner is a rookie who is yet to play any minutes, you've got to have a consistent partner. Losing that in Ghost really has hurt so far. You can see how much the pairing meant to both of them when Nicky scored his first goal. Shane Gostisbehere went up there and hugged the guy, grabbed his head and did all the bro hug stuff.
That's the one thing that I really. That's the
Oh,
one thing
sorry,
that That's the one thing that I really like about it is that Nikishin's already forming bonds with the guys, and he's really he seems to be liking it, wholeheartedly. The smile that he had after his first goal was great. And that gives me hope for the organization because Canes players that start on the Canes generally they like it and they want to stay. But when it comes to other players coming from other teams, they seem to be a little bit more on the I'm not so sure, or they're completely dedicated. For example, Nikolai Ehlers is I want to be here. Yeah. And he made that decision. There's those guys. Then there's guys that we pick up. Generally, the guys we pick up are okay, but you'll get a guy that after a couple of years, Jack Drury or Martin H.S. is just I'm not so sure I want to be here.
Yeah. I really hope that Nikishin can bounce back today because he's had two of the games we played this season, his worst 2 were the last 2.
Don't we play tomorrow?
Yes, we don't play tonight. We play tomorrow.
You said today.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Whoops.
I had a question about Kochetkov because he never played a game this season, yet he got put on the IR. What happened?
They're saying something was tweaked in that last preseason game versus Nashville.
Okay, because I saw the clip of him stick handling and everything too, and I was
he has said that he put on his Instagram that he's sick. So
I did see that.
I know
That was a
he's-
funny post.
I know he's had some sickness recently, but from what I've heard from like the reporters I've listened to is that he tweaked something in that last game versus Nashville. And given the situation now that you've got Freddie Anderson, who's healthy right now, and you've got a guy that you actually trust to play backup, they're not gonna move him back in swiftly. Like it's not like we're struggling right now, goalie wise. We're okay. Brandon Bussey's been good, not great, good. We're great the first game, good the second game, but. At that point, there's no reason to rush Kochetkov back because one, you don't want to mess up anything with Kochetkov later down the line. And two, I don't know about you guys, but I'm really not in a hurry to put Brandon Bussey on waivers right now.
Nope.
I'm riding the bus, baby.
So.
The Magic School Bus has been on fire.
And
he
we
is
get to see
2-0.
I think we get to see that tomorrow versus Colorado, actually. If
Low-key, I'd rather Freddie. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah. And honestly, they might have to now simply because Freddie Anderson's the only one that has the Hartford Whalers pads. So it might, because of equipment, it might have to be Frederick Anderson.
That's
honestly,
not wrong.
if we're thinking about it, look at what's happened with Dallas recently. So it
I
almost
was just gonna say with Dallas. Does that mean we're gonna start Bussey against Dallas?
Probably. Well, right now, who would you start? If you had the option right now to start Freddie and Bussey in one game and then the one in the other, I feel like it's a no-brainer you're putting Freddie up against Colorado and putting Bussey against Dallas. If you're trying to maximize your opportunity to win in both games. If you're like, you know what, we're going to win one, we're going to lose one, then you put Bussey in versus Colorado, you put Freddie in versus Dallas, and you bank on us being better than the Stars. But I feel like not to say Brandon Bussey's going to be a guaranteed L, but I don't feel great about putting Brandon Bussey against Colorado.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that one.
I feel much more confident with him playing against Dallas, especially since they've been struggling recently.
But now, how does this affect David Ayer's legacy? Sorry. I'm just kidding.
His legacy's been tarnished now that e-bugs are no longer a thing. Actually,
wait, what?
Really?
Actually, I did not know that.
So they changed it, I believe. I don't remember exactly what the rule is, but they changed it to where like e-bugs are no longer a thing. Maybe teams have like a third player that travels with them or something.
Really?
I don't know what it is. In fact, let me look it up.
Because I remember seeing the clip last year with the guy who went to the Sens and he was like a junior C goalie or something and he had to run across a highway to go play. Well, that was last year, so it could have happened in the off season, right?
Nope.
Generally, they
This is
rules.
This is not done yet. But
Okay.
Is it part of the new CBA?
yes, part of the new CBA replaces e-bugs with a new rule that requires each team to have a full-time traveling goalie. The new e-bug must meet specific criteria: no more than 80 games of professional experience, no professional hockey in the past 3 seasons, and cannot have played in an NHL game on a standard contract.
No NHL games in the last 3 seasons.
No professional games in the last 3 seasons. So that includes AHL, ECHL, any leagues that are professional, not juniors. You can play in juniors.
Okay, so it's not like we could carry Brandon Bussey. Like
No.
that's not an
No.
option.
No, and Brandon Bussey's now played a game in the NHL under an under NHL standard contract because he's not a 2-way.
Yeah.
I wish he wasn't. Dude, I freaking wish Brandon Bussey's contract was 2-way. Holy crap, we'd be cooking. Because then we wouldn't have to put him on waivers. We could send him up and down and wherever the heck we want.
What are we gonna do when Piotr's back?
I don't
Tell him
know.
to walk with a limp. And say he got hurt or something.
I mean, not.
That's what Vegas did.
I mean, if he gets injured.
Well, we all can figure that Freddie Anderson's extended leave of absence is probably coming soon. So,
Oh yeah.
That's true. I don't know.
dude, we say this every year, and then every year it happens. But I hope so. You have 23 roster spots, right?
This is gonna be the one year he doesn't get injured because we have Bussey.
We have 23 roster spots. So right now, let's just assume team fully healthy, right? Team fully healthy. You've got 13 forwards, including Jankowski as your healthy scratch. You've got 7 defensemen, assuming Riley your healthy scratch.
Mhm.
So if you can hold 23 players, I mean, you can keep Brandon Bussey as that third goalie. The problem,
That's what I'm saying.
The problem lies, one, is that what Brandon Bussey wants? Because do we really think that they're going to do a 3 goalie rotation?
I mean, we've seen 4 Canes goalies last year get a shut.
Yeah, but we never at one point saw more than 2 goalies in rotation.
Well,
Honestly, this is interesting because Freddie's on the last year of his deal. If you want to get Bussey more playing time to look
Exactly.
into next year, this makes sense.
If you're gonna commit to Bussey playing at least, I'd say once every 5 or 6 games, then absolutely keep him on the active roster as the third goalie, and don't bother sending him down to the A. Now he's played in the A for the last 4 years, so. And he's played for a Providence Bruins team that was not great skater-wise, but he dragged them into some relevance. So I'd keep him on the roster as long as you're going to give him playing time. That's the problem now. And we all know you don't want to overuse Freddie, but at the same time, we kind of want to know what we have in Kochetkov. And I was on record saying this before the season. I would love to see Kochetkov get the starters crease for some days just to see what we have. Because he really, I mean, I guess last year he played a lot of games, but he wasn't too wonderful in the time that he had to be the main bulk starter.
He wasn't.
So I really don't know what to do about Brandon Bussey's situation. And I guess it's going to depend on what he wants to do, too. Does he want to stick on a competitive team? I mean, I would think that Brandon Bussey right now is thinking, well, I've got one of the best defensive cores in the league. I've got a team whose starting goalie is on an expiring contract that's probably not getting picked up unless they win a cup. And I can play, every so often, still get paid, and maybe be a part of the future of a team that probably, hopefully, God please, wins a cup in the next 10 years.
Well, I mean, I don't know if this is another cynical way to look at it too, but at the end of the day, I think, if it all comes down to what our GM says. I know you were saying what Bussey wants, but if I was the GM, I'd keep Bussey around. I'd have him play maybe 10, 15 games. Maybe that's pushing it with the 15, but I'd say I want to split Chetkov and Freddie for most of the time.
Yeah.
Keep Freddie. Don't overuse him, obviously, because when it's playoffs, he's in go mode.
Yeah.
But like you said, I want to see what Kachetkov's got because he's 25 now?
Somewhere around there. It's time. There needs to be a decision made on him soon.
Yes.
Because
exactly.
I feel like where we're at now is we've done enough Kochetkov at the backup spot. But you're at a point now where your starter is probably done after this year. So you've got to know, is Pyotr Kochetkov going to be your starter? Or do you have to look in the market?
Pyotr is 26.
26.
Okay, I was close.
He's got
I was close.
this year and next year
Yes,
on his contract?
correct.
Well, we shall see. Do we even
It's
want?
gonna be
Do we even want to?
interesting.
Do we even want to recap any of the games? I mean, we're a little ways into this.
I don't even know, man.
I got one thing to say though. That Anaheim game, I still have no idea why we were penalized for our goalie leaving to go to the other. What was it? Leaving to the other side, crossing the line?
No,
when
ours
he didn't even leave.
Our
Our guy didn't leave. It was Anaheim.
But he got a penalty for it though.
Did
It
get
was a 2
penalized
minute.
for it.
Yeah.
I don't know that. I think it's because Freddie got involved. Technically, the penalty is leaving the crease.
Oh, that's bull crap.
That's what they said on the broadcast.
Oh well.
I don't agree with it. I'm sure you guys don't agree with it.
We still won though.
Aiden says, "What is an e-bug? Emergency backup goalie." Look up David Ayers. That's part of that's one of the better stories in Kane's history.
Search The one Steve Dangle video where
Toronto.
he
Yeah.
talks about
Look up Toronto versus Zamboni driver.
What a goat. I was tempted to buy his jersey and just wear it around town here. I can't
Oh
lie.
my gosh, that'd be legendary.
I'll do it.
But it's lost its luster now. Like all the Leafs fans would be like, nice jersey.
They'd probably be like, "Who is that guy?" There's so many oblivious Leafs fans here. Like they just see a Leaf and they're like, "Oh, that team plays here." That's a lot of the people downtown. I'd say most like the diehards aren't even from Toronto.
I'll give Raleigh some props, man. Like people now that the team's good know who the Hurricanes are.
Mm-hmm. I've seen a few Hurricanes fans around here. I can't lie about that.
There we go. Growing our reach.
That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool to see it. Even in my small hometown, I knew of 2 other Canes fans, both Williams fans like me. So we like that.
All right. Well, you guys got any closing remarks on this one?
Yes, I do.
All right, let's hear it.
Gordie Howe hat trick, Spetch high stick, Bussy's a wall of brick. Give me Whalers in 5.
This game's going to be tough. I think we need a bounce back game from Vegas. And this is a good place to show it.
Well,
where Burns is having his 1500th game, like being recognized this game. And it's Whalers versus Nordiques. Like, this is going to get nationally recognized for multiple reasons. So if you can win this game, you can prove to national media that at least you're not slouchers.
Yeah. Especially down Jacob Slavin and Shane Gostisbehere.
Yep. That's been very annoying.
This is a game of 2 of the best 3 teams in the NHL this season. In fact, we played the top. We've at this point, after tomorrow night, we are one of the top 3 teams, and we've played the other 2.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what order you have them in, but to me it's quite obvious right now that Vegas, Colorado, and Carolina are the 3 best teams in the league.
Mm-hmm.
If you can beat Colorado tomorrow, number 1.
I don't know. I think it'll depend on the game against Vegas at home.
You're getting you got 4 gauntlet games back to back. I mean, you got Vegas, Colorado, Dallas, Vegas.
I'd even throw LA. They were pretty good, I can't lie.
LA just barely beat St. Louis.
No, LA is no. We're not.
Our game though was tight.
Yeah,
they were in it to win it.
That was situational though. I guess you could loop it in there, but
I'd throw it.
That's different. I mean, the fact that we won that is nice, but situationally, LA had so much to play for that game.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, they had a big road trip too.
Yeah, long road trip coming up. Last game of the homestand on a disappointing start to the season. Mm-hmm. You can't. I mean, that doesn't get much more desperate than that. Other than I have to win this game to make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think tomorrow. I think it's going to be a really good game. I think it's going to be closer than people are expecting after that Vegas game. Winner of that game, in my mind, is the best team in the league. Especially if one team, kind of kicks butt, then definitely the best team in the league. Although maybe Vegas, we could still argue.
I think Vegas has just been on fire.
The question is, what is Marner going to do in the playoffs for them, though?
Right now, I'll give you guys my lineups. I have us third. I think it goes Colorado, Vegas, Carolina.
That's fair.
And so, if you win that game, I guess you move up to second because Vegas just beat you. But moving up.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys.
That's why I think it's such a big deal about the game at home versus Vegas, because you get a little bit of a recoup. You go home. Vegas has just played Florida at this point, so it's not like they've had much of a break. And then you have Vegas, and you're born for the first time in like 2 weeks, I think, at this point. You're having Canes hockey since the Flyers game. So, you need to show up good against Vegas at home.
All right, guys, that is going to do it for today. Thank you guys so much for signing into the stream today. I hope you enjoyed the little the interview we did with Bailey. Go check her stuff out on DNVR Sports and some older Surgecast tape, obviously. But yeah, make sure you guys are subscribed. Click the like button down below if you like the stream. If we get to 15 likes on this stream, I will post a picture of Seth Jarvis signing my forehead. We didn't hit it last time. We're going to hit it this time. Make sure to click that like button. Thank you guys for watching. And as always, stay crazy and peace out.